Hold your breath. Sit down, friends. Today we are going to talk about the world's most dangerous and Haral cave. And the movie was going to be shot here. But some such hard things happened with those movie people that they had to stop the shooting of the movie midway. 7 people attempt to cross this cave together in a single day, but little did they know when their thrilling adventure would transform into a somber morning of death. Because something was waiting for them inside that no one knew about. Welcome back, friends. And today we are once again going to watch the terrifying true story of Perun Coven. Before moving forward in the video, let me tell you that in the last video, I requested that you guys are watching the video but not subscribing and considering my request. Approximately 10% more people subscribe, and for this, I would like to thank you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and make sure to press the bell icon. Perun Coven, a software engineer who belonged to US California. This person crossed many caves in the past year, and among them, the name of one more game was included. This person from Thunder Canyon got married under a 1500-year-old tree behind his house with his own girlfriend, which shows how much he loved his family. And this was the main reason why he didn't take any risks during caving. In the same way, on May 3, 2010, this group of 7 people reaches the entrance of the cave. By around 11 in the morning, all these people prepare their gear and get ready by putting on their wetsuits. To enter the cave, the very first task for all of them was to descend through a very tight stone path, where they had to tie 2 ropes around their bodies and descend using the pulley system. The biggest challenge in the meantime was that if any mistake occurred, the person would fall straight down 45 feet, which could result in their death. And on top of that, it was so dark that nothing could be seen without a torch. Along with that, the flowing cold water can make any person a victim of hypothermia in a short time. Slowly, as they overcome their first challenge, these people enter inside the cave. As soon as they reach below, Luca, who was a guy, he asks everyone if they are safe, and during this time, he sees that Steve is shivering. The cold was so intense that Steve hadn't anticipated it above, after which the guide tells everyone, if anyone wants to go back up, they can leave from where they came because the challenges ahead are not easy to overcome at all. But as I told you, everyone had been waiting for this day for many months, so no one mentions going back. And everyone says let's move forward quickly. In just 5 to 10 minutes, these people reach the middle entrance where ropes are thrown down, and everyone starts descending about 80 feet into the tight cave with the help of those ropes. As they were going down, it was getting colder, causing several people in the group to now work less. And at this time, an incident occurs that makes the ground slip from under everyone's feet. These people hear a sound as if someone in a horror movie is getting ready to bring milk. The sound was so loud that 2 people said that they are not going any further. They value their lives too much. We don't want any ghosts to eat us here inside. So those people go back to the entrance area and say that when you guys come out from the other side, we will wait for you there. Let me inform you that at the point where these people turned back, an English film was being shot, and they also had to stop their film shooting midway due to hearing these eerie things. Continuing in this manner, the rest of the people reached the 3rd section of this cave at around 3 o'clock, and this point was the tightest path of the game. The width of this narrow passage going upwards was just enough for a person to enter without moving their head. And when you hear the length of this passage that everyone had to cross, the ground will slip from under your feet because this entire tight passage was going to be almost 200 feet long. If they crossed this passage, they would see their destination, which is the exit of this cave. And by this time, except for Luca, all the others were scared. The extreme cold in the cave and the eerie sounds made this the most special opportunity for Colvin to prove his manliness, because last time Colvin had left a similar cave and gone back up. Anyway, after this, Luca is the first to enter this passage and, being an expert, easily makes it to the other side. The second was Steve, who was already freezing. He also hurriedly tries to cross this passage, but suddenly he feels that one of his legs is stuck inside the passage, so he starts shouting loudly. After this, Luca pushes from above and the rest of the members push from below, and Steve is easily pulled out, but for Colvin, this was not going to be so easy. In the same way, 3 more friends cross this passage and reach Luca, and Luca starts moving outside with her. Without thinking that inside the passage, Barrick, Colvin, and Jim are also there, who can get stuck inside this passage at any time. On the other side, a frightened Colvin takes a deep breath and, shivering from the cold, enters this passage, and at this very moment, the cables make their biggest mistake. If Colvin had known that Luca was not sitting ahead to guide him, he would never have entered this passage. How could he have known that Luca was moving ahead with the others towards the alley? Colvin takes a deep breath and tries to move forward slowly, but the path was too tight for his body, and despite trying hard, Colvin couldn't move forward. A scared Colvin goes back down to Jim and tells him that he can't go any further, after which Jim removes the harness from Colvin's body and says that now you will easily be able to get through it. Colvin takes his second attempt and slowly moves forward, reaching about 100 feet into the passage, which is the center. By now, Colvin's confidence had increased even more, and this very confidence would later cost him his life. As soon as Colvin moved forward, he suddenly found that his entire body was trapped between the rocks, and only his right hand was outside, which he could move, but it was not enough. To release Colvin starts shouting loudly, and the sounds reach up to Luca, who quickly comes down and is shocked to see the way Colvin was trapped inside. Because the position in which Colvin was stuck was nothing short of a nightmare for any caver. For the next approximately 2 hours, Luca from above and Jim from below try very hard to extract Colvin, but Colvin's trapped body doesn't move forward even 10 inches, and by this time, a crying and exhausted Colvin was becoming even worse. Colvin's body was trapped in such a terrible way. If he even took a breath, the tight gap between the rocks would press his body even more. After trying for about 2 hours, all these people realized that Colvin was trapped in the dark and cold cave in a very serious way, which could possibly lead to Colvin's death. And that's why Guide Luca had to make some big decision. He does just that, leaving Colvin and Jim below, and runs to his car. After driving about 2 kilometers, Luca reaches a high hill, and from there he calls 911, where he was supposed to request a rescue team, but mistakenly ends up demanding a medical team instead. At 4 p.m., this call reaches a medical member named Sharif, who quickly prepares 2 teams, one medical and the other a fire rescue team. Colvin is trapped so severely that swelling could occur on his body at any time, posing the risk that due to the pressure of the rocks, his heart could fail at any moment. And by this time, Colvin had been trapped for almost 9 hours. Slowly, his eyes were closing, and his energy had depleted so much that Colvin was having difficulty speaking. On the other side, the rescue team, taking all their equipment, boards the helicopter and reaches this place. And in the meantime, the leader of the rescue team takes out the map and starts the rescue plan. He tells his members about the possibilities of how we can get Colvin out of this place. And meanwhile, the biggest concern was that none of the rescue team members had ever gone inside the cave before. And the first major threat to the rescue team was that Colvin might die from the cold inside the cave. because the temperature of the stones inside the cave was significantly lower than Colvin's body temperature. The rescue team first devises a plan to somehow keep Colvin's body warm. They give Colvin a drink and place heat packs around his body, while Jim and Luca, who were assisting Colvin from below, were already suffering from hypothermia. If they were not extracted from the cave soon, they could also face death. So they are the first to be rescued. Upon reaching below, the rescue team members also notice that some frightening sounds are emanating from below, and they choose to ignore this and focus on strategizing how to get Colvin out safely. First, they try to pull Colvin out by using 2 ropes, and in this attempt, the rescue team fails. At that moment, trapped Colvin shouts loudly that even if you have to break my chest or my shoulders, get me out of here quickly because I don't want to die. Creating a new plan, the rescue team sends a board inside, which is wedged under Colvin's body, and a pulley system is set up above in the rocks, which is then tied to the board by threading a rope through it. They pull the rope with all their strength, but their attempt fails. And then a team member comes up with a new plan where he goes up and brings a car jack. The jack is then wedged under the board and is fully opened by 2 people with great force, after which Colvin's body comes out in one swift and smooth motion. He was terrified, trembling, and also crying, and soon he was given a drink to help prevent hypothermia, and after a complete 20 minutes, Calvin was finally brought out. A similar situation has occurred where a child is trapped inside and corpses are floating in the water all around. Click on the video to see if the child was ultimately saved or not.